Hey guys, it's Colin from Color Studios here. Today is Saturday, October 25th. We are back here at Great Adventure for an update, mainly focusing on this thing right here, Project 2027 as we've been calling it. And there's definitely been some more progress made on the far end of the site here, which is the main area we've been looking at, since everything all down there is pretty much complete at this point in terms of footers. Obviously, there's no sign of tracker supports quite yet. Hopefully that'll come sooner than later. We've been tracking Import Genius to see if we see anything. I know Magic Mountains parts for their new Vekoma coaster are on their way, but nothing for Great Adventure quite yet. This, though, is just a hole that keeps surprising me. It's gigantic. So this footer right here, I'm assuming is part of the tower structure. I thought originally it was going to end over there, but it is continuing over this way towards Ka's plot. You can actually see they have graded some of the dirt right there, and it kind of makes this like giant ramp almost. I don't know if there's any reason as to why they did that in particular, but I do find that quite interesting. You can also see a ton of rebar still sitting right here, which tells me there's probably another footer that's going to be going in. You can see they've kind of started getting that hole ready next to this one. There's definitely some more dug out. So I'm curious just how far in this is really going to go. I mean, we can see over here, they have like tables of stuff kind of set up. It looks like that's more rebar. That's actually really long rebar. You can see it starts right there on the end of the table all the way over here and goes all the way down there. That's a massive section of rebar right there. So if I had to guess, that's probably going to be for one of the last supports that they're going to, or one of the last footers rather, that they're going to do for this coaster down the end here, because I'd imagine that it's probably going to have to go pretty deep. I mean, I know Ka's footers were really deep, which were all the way down there where the tower used to be. So this is going to be very, very interesting to watch. You know, despite many people not being too excited about this coaster, I do think watching the construction of a coaster that's definitely going to be at least 350 feet tall is really, really exciting. This is not something you get to see every day. And seeing the way they're going about it, especially given the strange timeline that they're going to be following, very, very exciting. Here's another look at that ramp that's kind of been graded into the soil. You can see it goes pretty high up. And then down there, you can still see all the mounds of dirt from where they were digging up in the parking lot and maybe in Ka's plot. It's kind of hard to tell. It could just be where they moved some of the dirt, but this is a very, very interesting time in the construction progress. Once we are done over here, though, we're going to go inside the park. There's a couple updates I want to share with you guys before I head home. And two of them are very exciting because they're actually rides reopening. I know it seems like a little bit of a rarity because we've lost so many rides, but there are two rides that were thought to maybe not return, and they have returned. So huge props to Great Adventure for that. That's very exciting. From over here in the parking lot, just one quick look down the line of, well, the whole construction. You can't really see too much through the fencing, of course, but there has been a lot of progress. I mean, most of the stuff back here, like closer to the park, is done and hasn't really been touched in quite some time, but this is very, very exciting. You can actually see that a lot of those footers do now have all of their concrete poured. Not all of them, but they are working their way down, getting lots of that concrete in for the footers. That way supports, once they arrive, can go right in, presumably. So a couple things I wanted to mention before I get inside the park. For one, you're gonna notice it's pretty crowded. I mean, it's 11 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Typically when you come in the mornings, you're not gonna see too many crowds, but I think the days of that are pretty much over for Fright Fest. I know last night the park was absolutely slammed, as has been the case for basically every weekend. So if you are coming to the park for the rest of Fright Fest, just know you're gonna be waiting in tons of lines. But what I do like that they've been doing, I noticed as I was driving through the property, they have traffic directors pretty much everywhere. I mean, they have people at crosswalks, they have people at strange intersections to help people know where they're going. So good on the park for ensuring that that is, you know, being kept up on. I'm also noticing they have new banners up for the chaperone checkpoint. That way people know that you will be checked up here. Obviously that's not until later today, at least I think, unless they changed it. Looks like security's actually really backed up. Oh boy. Yeah, all these signs up here, they are definitely new, at least new since the last time I was here. All right, a few observations of security. It kind of got a little chaotic. On the left side, they were doing it properly and having only one person go through at a time. On the right side, it was just a free-for-all, and they got to the point where if you didn't have a bag, you were just walking through and everyone else was going through secondary. So, you know, not great. I mean, they're getting hammered with people right now. There's a ton of people coming in. Also, new signs at the gates. You can see that when they have the gates closed, there's now a sign on the top that says, welcome, this gate is closed. Of course, there are no gates closed right now because the park is pretty packed. All right, now we're inside the park. There goes Flash. They got Porky and Petunia out in their Halloween attire, which is always great to see. We're gonna go over and check out, do a, you know, quick lap through the park as I usually do, show you guys what's changed, what I noticed. First, I'm gonna go to those two rides that have reopened, and those two rides are Air Safari and Barnstormer. At least I'm hoping they're still open. I think they would be. But Barnstormer, I'm glad to see open. I had a feeling it would probably reopen. Air Safari, though, that's been closed for quite some time now, at least a year or two, maybe more. I've lost track, honestly. So that's really, really cool to see that back open. A lot of people were assuming it was just gonna get removed, but good on the park for fixing it and getting it back up and running. It always blows my mind, though, how once you actually get into the park and start walking around one of these, early mornings, it's pretty deserted. It's just that everyone gets clumped up over there, and then I don't know where they go, but they don't really seem to go anywhere. Watch, now that I'm here, both rides are closed, and then I look like I'm a liar. All right, well, there's 1 out of 2. You can see Barnstormer is indeed open. There's some riders. Looks like they're actually about to send it now. Yep, there it goes. It is indeed open. Very happy to see that. Obviously, it's been closed for a little bit longer than I would have expected, but it is back just in time for last couple weekends of Fright Fest. And Air Safari over here, you can see there is an operator in the yacht booth, 2 operators, and it's open. I'm not riding it because I would feel a little weird doing that, but trust me when I say it is open, it's running. I've seen videos of it run, and obviously it is staffed, so it's open. I think this definitely goes to show just how empty this side of the park is. Jersey Devil's open. You wouldn't think it because there's no one on it, but it is open. Actually, maybe it's not, because that's a very weird spot to see the train sitting. Usually that train would have already advanced down to this block right before the station because there's a train at the front of the station. So maybe it's not open? I don't know, it's a little strange. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna say it's not open. It's looks like it's doing block checks on the mid-course right now, so probably a little bit longer till Devil's ready to go. Now we'll actually get to see what happens when the train realizes that the block is occupied and then stops on the lift. That's what you're about to see, hopefully. Let's see, when's it gonna stop? There it goes. It'll stop right up there because that train is sitting there. Eventually that train will advance, which will then move that train through the course, and that train will presumably advance at some point further up into the station blocks. In fact, there it goes right now. Try not to nerd out too hard for you guys. I know some people don't really care about this stuff, but I always find it very interesting when you watch rides get ready for the day. And this one's unique too because it has, 3 trains, usually, well, sometimes 4. But there you go. Mid-course is now advancing because that block right there is clear, which means that that train can now advance through the course. So once that train clears the mid-course block right about now, that means that this one will be able to advance whenever it decides to. I don't know how long it's gonna sit there, but it's there. Let's see how slow it goes now that it dead stopped on the mid-course. Ooh, that is crawling. Look at that. Barely gonna make it into the brake run there. Wow. And now this train will eventually advance, and then this one will be able to dispatch, and then they'll be ready to go. And I know I keep getting pestered with comments about Nitro. Nothing has changed. It is still closed for an unknown amount of time. Don't be surprised if it does not open for the rest of the season. That's probably what it's looking like. Seems like a few more people are starting to make their way in now as I walk over towards Metropolis, go past Flash, then we'll go to the other side of the park. Not really seeing anything new over here in Metropolis, near Flash or anything. There's a decent crowd though. Looks like Flash already has generated a line, which is not surprising at all. This right here is something new. Fright Fest Fanatics has a new location right next to Skyscreamer. This used to be guest services, these are pass holder services, a whole bunch of different things. But now it looks like it has become the new home of Fright Fest Fanatics. They used to have this shop over by the Wild Walkway where the Golden Kingdom was. Now that is, I think, Adventure Gifts or something. I forget what it's called. But it looks like they've got a whole plethora of Fright Fest merch. I'm not gonna go inside. I don't know if it's open, but that's really, really cool. It looks like they've got basically all the Fright Fest merch you could think of all right here. That's really nice. I'm noticing they also sell Fright Fest merch over there in the Haunted Attractions redemption area. So I'm really curious how much of this Fright Fest merch they're actually gonna sell. Last year, we obviously saw that there was a lot of it left over. They're still trying to sell some of that Stranger Things stuff just because there's so much of it. So I do have to wonder how much of it will actually wind up being sold. And I know Oktoberfest had a bit of a weird presence this year because originally it was not returning, and then they had the decorations, and then mid-season they decided to bring back one of the shows, which takes place right there. So there is stuff here for Oktoberfest. It's definitely a lot less than there usually was, but if you are someone who was a little bummed that Oktoberfest wasn't returning, it's here. It's on Saturdays and Sundays this weekend and next weekend, and then that's it. And they do have that show right there, which is called Guten Tag Players at those times. So there is at least something, which I'm very happy to see. This is also a sign I did not notice last time. It says, warning, starting at 6 p.m., the carousel will spin backwards. So it stays forwards during the day, and then once Fright Fest officially begins, that's when the backwards carousel comes into play, which is nice that they do that, because I know not everyone likes to go backwards, but I love that they do it backwards because it's very unique. We've never really seen that here before. So on this side of the park, I'm going to start by going through Plaza de Carnaval and Frontier Adventures. Then I'll loop back to the Boardwalk to finish off. I'm not expecting to see much over here because there usually isn't too much different on this side of the park, but we'll still take a look nonetheless. All right, now we're in Frontier Adventures, or Exile Canyon, which may take the cake for being the consistently most dead area of the park. There's very few people back here, which, I mean, that's largely due to the fact that you got Log Flume closed, Best of the West closed, and then other than that, there's only 2 rides down here. Noticing something new here at Mine Train, it looks like they have added this like lattice fencing that goes all the way down the exit path, presumably so that guests can't like reach out. Let me go look at this. Oh man, look at that. This kind of upsets me. It was so cool when this was open and you could just see the trains come whizzing in, but I guess they saw it as maybe being a safety hazard. I don't know, but this kind of saddens me a little bit. I liked when it was open. Looks like Medusa is really just grinding trains to a halt on that mid-course. I'm assuming, because they've been doing this for a few years now, ever since it became Medusa, I'm assuming that's to preserve the longevity of the track, since this ride is pretty old now. It is 26 years old now. Yeah, it was built in 99. So we've seen a lot of the other B&M looping coasters like Kumba and Hulk, soon probably Kraken, kind of starting to need that extra bit of attention, and I wouldn't be surprised if Medusa is going to be one of those sooner than later. So they're probably doing that on the mid-course as a preventative measure to try and preserve the track integrity as long as possible, if I had to guess. I also could be wrong, but I feel like that fencing at the bottom of Toro's lift hill was either a different color or a different kind of fence. For whatever reason, I don't remember it looking like that, but I could be wrong. That looks like a new short design right there, that Freedom to Scream over here at El Mercado. I do not remember seeing that one, but everything else pretty much looks as I remember. I'm not seeing anything too different over here. All right, I'm now doing my walk down the boardwalk. I decided to get Rita's at 11:30 in the morning. Probably not the best decision, but hey, when you're an adult, you can just do whatever you want. But it looks like Totally Kickin' Chicken still has not opened. I don't think it's ever opened this year, and if they haven't opened it during Fright Fest, gonna assume we're probably not gonna see it open at all. Down here though, there's really not much else to see. Obviously Army of the Dead right there with the Maze Pass Redemption. Nothing has changed over at the entrance to what once was the Golden Kingdom, and we still got these plants that I like to think are in memory of all the fallen rides. It does look like they added a hat to this interactive element, so that's pretty cool. But nothing's really changed down here by Twister. You're not going to see too much change over here at all, really, until they get the dirt out and the supports and tracks start to go up. Out of all the areas of the park, though, that wind up being dead, this one is probably the most noticeable when you come down here, especially early on in the day like this. You will probably be one of the only people down here because the only draw is Superman until, you know, Fright Fest starts and you have Conjuring right next door. But I really do hope that we see more happen with this area as time goes on. As you guys know, I'd love to see this thing get ripped out. I don't like this ride at all. And unfortunately, they're probably just gonna put parking over here. I would rather see a new coaster, but hey, we can dream, right? Here we got slingshot testing, which will probably be a fun ride to test out this camera on since I'm still getting used to it. See, it'll go any second now, I think. There it goes. Look at those test dummies go. Ooh, this is hard to film. I was gonna do it for my brief stop in at Great Adventure. I think I was here for like 40 minutes maybe. Just want to show you guys all the different updates because I missed last weekend. Sorry about that. Things got a little busy, but if you guys enjoyed this video from Great Adventure today, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye, guys.